Get strong.
Hello, everyone. Great to see you again. It's been a year since our last episode, and today meet our guest, the head of the economic regulation at the National Petroleum Authority of Ghana, and he or she has been dedicatedly steering the ship there at the National Petroleum Authority of Ghana for the past 12 years and 7 months ever since he kickstarted his journey as the assistant manager in charge of pricing back in October 2011, I think so, right? Yeah, but wait, there's
Yes.
more. Alongside his impressive tenure at the National Petroleum Authority, LCNPA, he or she also taking on some exciting voluntary roles. And from 2018 to 2023, he served as the director of Fortem Investments Limited, showcasing his knack for diverse ventures. And let's not forget his or her stints as the director of Kukidi Services Limited. I hope I mentioned it right. Yeah, and that's a dog fast food. And that's from 2017 to December 2021, where he undoubtedly brought a taste of excellence to the table. So, with such a rich tapestry of experience, our guest is sure to bring some fascinating insights to the table. Let's give him a warm welcome. Welcome. Anyway, so here you are. Could I have missed something about your profile? If so, please feel free to add it. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? Even though I know you, I think you have to do our listeners the honor to introduce yourself and add if I've missed anything. Yeah.
Okay. Chari, good to see you and good to connect with you online. So I think you've said, you've introduced me, you've mentioned where I work. I think one important thing you've left out, well, apart from the fact that I'm a family man, have two kids, a girl and a boy, I'm married to one woman. Let me add that. The pastors always say this. Married to one woman.
That's the
Yep.
academician spirit.
Exactly. And then talking about Accra Academy, you left out the fact that I'm the leader of the BLEOO 2005 year group. I think
Yes.
ever since we left school, I've played a key role in the association and of my year group in particular. And but before that, let me congratulate you and your year group on the 20th anniversary of
Yes,
leaving Accra
fantastic.
Academy.
I've been
20
following
years.
keenly. Yeah. Unfortunately, I cannot be there, but I'm with the team in spirit. Yeah.
That's great. I was there at the lunch over the weekend, and it was a good time to see a lot of people. So many faces I had never seen since they left school. It was good to see them 20 years after they left. So congratulations once again.
Yes,
They're following
thank
after
you.
you. You will be 20 next year.
Anyway, so that's fantastic. The Accra Academy will be using BLEOO a lot because that's our high school and that's who we are. We are patient and we believe in substance and not the shadows, as our anthem clarifies. And yes, I've been following everything so far. I watched the City FM interview with the leaders, Maxwell and Montero, and it's been great so far. Unfortunately, this year I cannot be there, but I'm with the team in spirit. But I mean,
Definitely.
Abbas, should I call him Abbas? Should I call him Yao? Should I call him Tasunti? I used to call him Abbas.
Most people,
Yeah,
yes, most people are familiar with Abass.
exactly. I call him Abbas. And he rightly mentioned he went to Accra Academy, the School of No Regret. And let's talk about Accra Academy experience. It's fascinating, and people don't understand why we are who we are and why we behave the way we do and why the connection is so deep. Can you, if someone asks you to share the Accra Academy experience, which is a high school of no regret, what would be your take on it?
So I think sometimes when you cannot relate to something, you will not understand why people behave the way they behave. Most people love their schools, but we love Accra Academy. Let me say, we love Accra Academy. And why do we love Accra Academy? Personally, I think one thing that really, really makes me love Accra Academy is the motto of the school: to be rather than to seem. That's a convidary.
Yeah.
This is so deep. And when you go through the school, when we immediately we entered the school and we were told the meaning of this motto and the background, the history of this school, and particularly one thing about Accra Academy which we were told was the fact that Accra Academy transforms people. People who maybe society could have would have thought that they didn't get the best, and we come to Accra Academy, we pick anybody at all, and we can change them to become great people. And we were told so many stories of people like that who didn't get their first choice schools, but they came to Accra Academy and they rose to become people rocking shoulders with those who got the first choice schools that they
Yeah.
wanted to be at. So for me, it told me that this school is a great school. And if you allow the school to teach you and you go with the tenets of this school, you're going to be a great person. So for me, Accra Academy, as a Videri, I've lived, it's one of my policies in life, to be rather than to seem to be. And usually we
Yes,
also say, honesty is the best policy in life. And that has
exactly.
been my motto for life.
And for me, I think is Don Sibi said Alice. It's I don't know if I get it right, not for school but for life. I think that's also
Non scholar, I said
non-scholar
Peter.
non-scholar school vitae something something.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
saying not for school, but for
but
life,
for
not
life,
for
yeah.
myself, not
And
for
then there's
others.
another one on Sibi said Alice. I've forgotten the English meaning, but I think these are great quotations from the Latin that you kind of like see it and then you are energized. Yeah, you rightly mentioned some people choose a academic second choice. I don't think that's possible. I mean, how can they do that?
Exactly. These days, if you try that, you're out. If you try that, you're
You
out.
you cannot choose a academy as a second choice. I mean, that's not possible. Yeah. But I have fond memories of you and I remember meeting you for the first time in a academy, smiling all the time. You never get bored. I mean, those times that sort of seniority was still there where you have to obey the seniors. And sometimes it goes to the extreme. And I've seen some of my colleagues go, a little bit wild, but you were always smiling. You were very calm, collected. And I think where you come from in the north was also a very big deal for some of us.
Yeah, it became my
Uh,
nickname.
it was interesting.
It became my nickname in
You
school.
know, I've heard it before. People say Zabzugu Tatali, but I never knew it was a place
Yeah.
in Ghana. you know. And I think anytime I hear it, that town or that village or that place, you always come into mind. So kudos for that. You stamp something in my memory for me to remember all the time. Yeah.
I'm
And
happy
I,
my
I
hometown.
yeah. And I remember you you rose through the ranks and you found favor with your colleagues and even the seniors as well, and you became a hall prefect. Am I right? Yeah, I will not
Yes,
mention
yes,
the
Halima
hall, but
Hawali.
how did you work this through
Oh, I
amidst,
rushed.
the academics and going through all that it takes? How did this happen?
So for me, I think, well, I wouldn't say I was too surprised when I rose to become hall prefect because for some reason, I think the saying that leaders are born, that seems to relate. I seem to relate to that because
Yeah,
from primary school through senior high school, so through junior high school to second, even when we entered Accra Academy, Form 1, I was a class prefect. Before in Form 2, I chose to become a contest for the hall prefect. So I've always kind of been that person who seems to be, when I'm part of anything, I just want to see the thing work. And so in doing that, I tend to want to take a leading role in pushing things. And once you do that, everybody seems to say, okay, be the leader, be the leader. There have been points, now that I've grown up, there are certain places where you are pushed to be leader. I say, no, I want to be in the background. But because I always seem to be very, very active, I don't like to be passive when I'm part of something. So that pushed me to become the hall prefect. So through the being a class prefect, and then when
yeah,
I went to the boarding house, I was very
yeah,
active in almost everything. So when the opportunity came to elect hall prefect, I was like, okay, let me give it a shot because I feel like this is something I can do. I can lead and bring our people together. And I also had a very, very good relationship with everyone, juniors, seniors. and my colleagues. So I thought it would be very easy for me to contest and win and become
Hmm.
a hall prefect.
That's perfect. Were you ever a day student?
Yeah, so well, I
Or
wouldn't say
how would you
100%
compare?
a day
Okay,
student.
maybe you can tell us more.
So actually, in the first year, I didn't get a boarding house. You
Okay,
know, Accra
right, like
Academy
many
had
people.
limited space for boarders. Yes, so
Yeah,
just a few people could go into the boarding house. So for many people, you realize that those who were coming outside of Accra were the ones who got a chance to be in the boarding house.
yeah.
I didn't want to be a day student, so I started Form 1 first term being in a hostel just
Okay,
across the school.
that's
Then in the
behind the
second
school.
term, I
Yeah,
came to campus to live. Yeah, just behind the school. Yeah. So in the second term, I came to live on campus in the bungalow.
yeah.
So I was more like a pseudo boarder because even though I was living in a bungalow, I
Makes
was eating
sense.
from the boarding house and all that. So from let me say from the second term of first year, I was more like a boarder. Then second year proper, I entered the boarding house.
Okay, that's fantastic. And now let's scale back a little bit to the your position, the class prefect and hall prefect. You know that how were you able to manage that with academics? Because sometimes the class can be a little bit competitive. It's silent, but there's some sort of competitiveness going on. So how were you able to, go through and manage it?
I would say I'm sure you know very well. Handling BLEOO is not easy. When you are leading boys, it can be quite
Yeah,
difficult. It can
dealing
be
with
quite difficult. I
cases.
remember
Yeah.
one of my early experiences as a class prefect Form 1 at the assembly hall. I think I was giving forgotten to give us something to share with the class, and
Okay.
everything was given to me on the stage of the assembly hall, and instead of my class members or my classmates waiting to hear your name and count for yours, everybody was just rushing on me, and
Yeah.
it was difficult. But
Yeah.
after those incidents, I realized no, you have to manage this thing well. But managing it in academics in Form 1 class prefect, it wasn't that difficult.
Mm,
But when I became hall prefect, I realized there was more to do because hall prefect, you have to plan the hall, get people ready, you lead the Form
exactly.
1s, all these roll call, and there was so much you had to do as a hall prefect. But I think I also knew that I was there mainly for my academics. The leadership side of it was important as well, but I wasn't also too fascinated about being top of the class. That's something
Yeah.
about me. I just knew I've always been I would say I've always been an average student.
Mm,
I know, yes, with a little efforts, I'll do well. I wouldn't want to fail, but I wasn't too fascinated about being top of the class and all that. So I didn't really struggle with academics that much, except with some
yeah.
few subjects which we'll get there, I'm sure. But I didn't find it too difficult.
And I think that's fantastic for you to share that. I equally have that same sort of mindset. I just don't care. In high school, as you know, I was a sports perfect, and I just want to play football. I just want to be out there. And I just told myself if I don't play football, I just teach football. So, or teach sports. Let me put it that way. So I was not too much enthused about who is top in the class, who is leading, who got this and who got that. I just know my capabilities. And I know if I go hard, I can do well. So that's a very good thing and I always say that it's better to do better than your previous best and compete with yourself than, using other people as yardstick because it can drown you at times. And that principle has always been with me. I just don't care about what somebody gets and how that affects what I want to get, where I want to be or what I want to get. So that's pretty good one. But can you share with us first of all, I want to find out what your favorite subject was at the time. But what compelled you to choose Accra Academy? Like what was it a course? Was it a subject? What was that a particular thing that made you choose Accra Academy as a school or as a high school of choice?
So let me say this. I think most people don't know this.
Yeah. It's
Honestly,
good
when I
you
was
say
in
it here for the
GSS,
first time.
yeah, when I was in GSS and I was looking, it was time for us to choose schools. I didn't think much about Accra Academy until one
Hmm.
of my senior brothers mentioned Accra Academy. I wanted to go to, I think I remember I said I wanted to go to Achimota. And
Okay.
then, he knew me. He knew I was more of a boys' person. and he mentioned Accra Academy. I looked out for Accra Academy. I realized, oh, Accra Academy has also produced some
Yeah.
very noble, significant people in the world. So yeah, in the world, let me say that, not still in Ghana.
Yeah.
And then I checked. I'm like, oh, it's a boys' school too. I want to be a boys' school. And I heard so much stories about Accra Academy boys. They almost hard.
Exactly.
And I wanted a place where, yes, I was going to be able to also Accra Academy, and I never regret choosing Accra Academy. So I opted for Accra instead of Achimota, and I
And
got
that's
Accra. So I was
fantastic.
so excited.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you share this. Often people don't really share this aspect of it. Yeah, but now we now move back again to Accra Academy. So can you share with us your favorite subject in Accra Academy and why that
Mm-hmm.
resonated with you? Can you tell us a bit about it?
So I would say I had two favorite subjects: core math and economics.
Okay.
Commerce because I think for some reason it just when I was about to finish GSS, I think GSS one, GSS two, I wasn't too good with commerce, but we
Okay.
had I wasn't too good with maths in GSS, but we had a strict maths teacher before Form 3, before we wrote our BEC. He made sure we loved maths. So by the time I was leaving GSS, I was so much in love with maths. So when I entered SS, commerce was so easy for me. I think all the concepts of commerce I could just get them easily. So commerce, I just loved it because I understood everything commerce. But economics, because economics kind of spoke about life. It was very practical and realistic.
Okay.
Economics spoke about whatever was happening around us and everything. So I really loved economics. And even because of that, I wanted to do economics in the university, even though I didn't end up doing economics. But I loved economics because of the practical nature of economics and how we spoke about life itself. So those were my two favorite subjects.
And your favorite teacher? And it gets interesting now.
I'm sure you can get. I'm sure you can guess this. I'm sure you can guess who my favorite teacher
Well, I
was.
don't
I even
know,
lived
man.
with
The only
him.
person who comes into my mind is Banya, but I don't know.
Exactly. Manya was my favorite teacher. Manya was my favorite teacher. The
Oh, that's
reason
an
is
interesting man, man.
I lived with him. I lived with him in the second. I was in his bungalow,
Okay.
so I lived with Manya in Form 1, second and third term. So
Oh,
automatically he became my favorite teacher, and I just loved Panya. Let me tell you one thing about Panya. Even though I lived with
okay.
Panya, Panya, when it comes to class, he used to teach us social studies.
Okay.
He didn't care whether he knew you from his bungalow or not. I used to write very little. My handwriting was very small. And
Okay.
Panya wanted to write very, very big, like boldly. So when you wrote in his exercise books for him, and between the two lines, you just use maybe half of the line, Panya will lash you. So Panya forced me to start writing very legibly.
Exactly.
So Panya, and he was very interesting. You all know Panya. He will make you laugh, tell you stories, jokes, and he was
Fond
just
memories.
he was just an interesting man with his plantain, banana plantain on his
Yeah.
farm, and so he was just an interesting person all around, and he was a nice person actually. Panya was
Yeah.
a very nice person. So he
Well,
was my favorite teacher.
I learned he passed away.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes. He went
I
through some
mean,
tough times.
may his soul rest on. He's just an amazing man. He made education very exciting and teaching exciting. Sometimes you get bored. Some teachers come and you feel like sleeping. And there's no dull moment, full of fun moments, but also teaching.
Yeah.
And I still remember some of the topics he took, the self-concept and self-actualization and all those things resonated with me
Socialization.
and improved me as
Yeah.
a person. And the handwriting, I used to have a very nice handwriting. And he marks so beautiful handwriting, 10 marks.
He used to like people's handwriting. If your handwriting was not good, he'll make you
In the
change it.
final exam. That's
But let
that's
me tell you something
interesting.
something about Panya.
Yes.
Uh, Panya during vacation classes, because it's fun,
Yeah.
vacation classes, other classes, and go and join Panya's class just to
Okay.
enjoy his class. So vacation classes, Panya's
Exactly.
classes were always full. It was really fun. Panya, we used to enjoy Panya so much.
Yeah.
May his soul rest in peace.
And were you involved in any extracurricular activities or clubs? If so, which ones and what did you enjoy most about them?
Yes, yes. I've always been someone who likes doing other things apart from academics. So maybe the clubs I used to be, there was this new club that came up called Young and Wise.
Okay.
I remember I was being the secretary of that club, Young and Wise. And then I was also a member of HUSA. But maybe HUSA, I just loved HUSA because of the expeditions.
Oh yeah.
I loved HUSA because of expeditions, but I also participated in a few sports. I wasn't too much of an athlete, an athletic person, but I remember we had this cross country in Form One. I
Okay.
participated in the cross country. Yes,
Well,
yeah.
that's
So I
interesting.
participated
That
in
that I
that.
did not
So
see you in the cross country.
yeah, yes, that was Form One. I remember participating in that.
Yeah.
So I did
Oh,
a few
that's
other things apart from, and obviously school leadership. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So are these some of the clubs that you joined before? Are they still functioning in the school or things have changed?
I think it's only the head of states
The
awards
head of
scheme
states
that's still
awards,
there.
yeah.
HOSA.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks very well
yeah, that's
organized
still.
at
I'm
the national
actually
level.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
And reflecting on your BLEO years, what was your biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it? If a young BLEO person wants to know or somebody eager to choose Accra Academy as the high school, or possibly share with your friends who did not see you going through that challenge. Yeah.
So for me, it was elective maths. I
Okay.
struggled with elective maths. I struggled with elective maths, and the other courses I just didn't like. Literature was one of the courses I did. I just didn't like it. Not that it was difficult, but I just didn't like literature.
Yeah.
I didn't like literature because I was like, I'm doing elective maths, economic, geography. What is literature doing in that
Yeah.
mix?
Which
So
means you
I felt
studied
like
general arts, I guess.
yes, I did general
Yeah.
arts. So I did economics, geography, and elective maths. And so I was just wondering why literature was in there. So I just didn't pay much attention to literature. But elective maths, I struggled with it. Even though I was good at core maths, I struggled with
Okay.
elective maths. So maybe I'm sure you ask how did I go around that?
Yeah, exactly.
So I had to first of all rely on some of my other mates who were doing science and business to teach me. So I had friends, I'll mention their names because they helped me so much. Felix Alote was one of my teachers, even though he was my
Hmm.
mate. He was very good at elective maths. He was in business for. He helped me. We used to call him Prof. He used to help
Yeah.
me with elective maths. And then we have Mochino, Samuel Williams. Samuel Williams used to help me a lot also teach me elective maths. So these are people who used to teach me on the side. And then eventually I had to also take extra classes on elective maths. So Mr. Patrick Mensah used to have some extra classes on the side. So I had to enroll in that as well. So I did everything possible to make sure that by the time I was writing my SSC, I would do well in elective maths. So that's
Yeah.
how I had to go because I had to go the extra mile. There was a time, let me tell you a funny story. There was a time I didn't sleep before I elective maths paper. I was taught, if you remember the lecture room where the cadet room was,
Yeah.
throughout the night, Felix was teaching me. The next morning, I went to see this paper. The moment they put the paper on, I opened the paper, I started sweating. I still struggled to the paper. Upon all the lack of sleep, just preparing for elective maths paper. So I really struggled with elective
Yeah.
maths. And I think it was mainly because for general arts, we didn't used to get, I would say, sorry to say this, but we didn't used to get the best of elective maths teachers.
Hmm.
I think they used to focus more attention on the business people and the science people. So mostly
But
we're
they
not
were the
getting the
same
best.
teachers, I guess.
Yes, but and we're writing the same. No, some of they were different teachers.
Different teachers. Okay.
Yes, that's why I said sorry to say this, but I feel like we didn't get the best of. So the best selective math teachers were with the science students and the business
Hmm.
students, and we had to sometimes deal with those who were not. I would, in my opinion, not the very best compared to those who were in the science school. So, but we were writing the same paper. So
Exactly.
sometimes we finish the paper, we see the grades of the science students and the business students, and you see the grades of the art students. Sometimes our highest is like the lowest in the science classes. And it
I think
was,
I recall this vividly. I recall instances like that. Yeah.
so
That's interesting. Yeah. But I like the fact that you mentioned, relying on your PS for guidance and sometimes further teaching, and this goes on with you even to yeah, later parts in life in your university and even at a workplace. Because sometimes, at the moment when everything is happening, sometimes you don't really get it. Yeah, and I remember I'm the type that I have to get it in class. If I don't get it in class, I don't really care. I have to stay awake and bend the night and catch up. And I devote a lot of time for sports. So I always know that I have to go the 10 hours, the 11 hours, go hard and get things done. Yeah. But I wasn't very good at, learning from peers. Like asking somebody to help me with this. What I was good at is just listening to people answer questions in class, listening to people ask very good questions. And I try to, learn a thing or two about it. Yeah. So that
It's
said,
good. It's good you know yourself. It's good
yeah,
you know
and like I
yourself. Because for
mentioned,
me, I
the
think
mhm,
I learn best through discussions. So I
yeah,
love good group discussions. That's the best way I learn.
yeah. I mean, I tried, oh, but I couldn't do it. I tried, but I couldn't
Yeah,
do it.
everyone and
It
their
looks
style.
like the independence was probably helping me. Mine is to get the books and then catch up. Yeah, and yeah, maths was also great. I remember I never worked maths on a formula board or even on an exercise. I just read it because most of these textbooks have provided the answer. So why would I stress?
Mhm.
And once I study the answers and it makes sense in my mind, I don't like doing true and poor too. I need to understand it and sort of like to be able to
Mhm.
explain it to someone. So once I get it, then it sticks. And funny thing is, I don't
Mhm.
go back again. And
That's
when I
oh, that's
prepare for
good.
the exam, and I don't force myself. So it's about just knowing
You
what
can't
your
come and kill
strengths are.
yourself.
Yeah, I don't do that. I've never done that. Never. There are some exams I don't really kill myself. I know I wasn't prepared. So I wouldn't just push
Mhm.
myself. It was rather later in life at the master's level that I was pushing hard because I knew academia was a thing, was a place I want to be. So then you need to be perfect with your scores. Yeah. That said,
Mhm.
I know you've talked about something funny, but any funny or unforgettable moment that happened with your friends during Accra Academy time? It could be in the boarding house, it could be in Takor, it could be anything. That anytime you sit down, you're like, oh dear, this thing is still funny. Leaves an imprint in your mind.
There are so many of them,
Yeah.
so many of them. You know, Cracker, when you start telling stories of boarding house, especially in a boarding house, there are so many of them you can never forget. But maybe one, I will just bring one. I
Hmm.
remember there was this time in the in the dining hall.
Okay.
And for some funny reason, I don't know what caused it, there was this kinky fight. And I don't know, I really forgot what caused this kinky fight. And all we saw was someone put off the light and then the kinky started flying all over the place. Kinky we should have been eating. It turned into a fight. We just messed up the kinky. But
Yeah.
I think some students were had some issues with some of their some of a teacher and they just wanted to show the teacher paper and
Was it
it
in
led
your
to a
final
kinky
year
fight.
or in your
I
second
can't.
year?
I think I was in the second year then. I was in the second year. So that was your yeah, I was in the second year when this happened.
Yeah.
Yes, I was in the second year when this happened.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure you might remember this. There was this major kinky fight.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think the
some those
second
days
year. I
once in a while
remember
these kinky fights will
the
happen and
light went
but
off.
another
If I get it right, the light went off, and then
yes,
for some
yes.
reason the
There's
kinkies were just flying.
someone puts up the light and
Yeah, I remember very well.
you're all over
And the
the
kinky
place.
was flying. It became a big issue. I
All
remember
over the place.
Bentoman, we call him
Yeah.
Mr. Bento. Bentoman came around and
Yeah, mental
tried to
man.
find out
Yeah, I remember it was
what
a
the
major issue.
situation was. But he himself
It
was
was a
beaten with
major issue.
kinky
That
one
was so
time.
indisciplined of us.
He himself was
Yeah.
beaten with a kinky one time in the dormitory. That was so funny.
Yeah, whenever students need the teacher, it's the kinky fight they use. But let me say
Yeah.
another very interesting thing, which I can never forget in my life. You remember? I think I was also I think I was in Form 2 then. We went for this interco. We had been banned for
Hmm.
1 year already. When I came
Oh
to Form
yes.
1, we didn't go
Yes.
for interco that year because we had been banned because of a
There was
fight.
an issue with
So
Presec
second year,
prior
that
to
was the
then,
first
yeah.
time. Yes. So second year
Yeah.
interco at Elwak, that was when we got the chance to go for interco. And even that, I remember because of the previous incidents, we were being asked to go in batches. And I remember
Yes.
very well because of that going in batches. You're part of the sports team, so you remember I think the
Yeah.
sports team came back and said the numbers were not much, so we were not getting enough funds. So we were protesting that you should be allowed, all the students should be allowed to go.
Yeah.
So I think one of the days, I don't know whether it was Super Zoo, so all of us were allowed to go. And we went to Elwak, had, we don't know, for some funny reason, some fight happened there.
Oh dear.
And we were asked to go back into the stadium. We were locked in there. And the military people said they were going to use their buses to bring us to campus. And we said,
Yeah.
no, we want to go on our own. So we left the Elwak place. We walked from Elwak all
Some
the way
people
to
walk.
Kanishi.
That's true. I
Chairman was
remember.
the
I
grounds
was I
prefect
was
then.
I was disappointed.
Apparently, some people, yeah, so we walked all.
Yeah. I was disappointed because
It was
we
a
couldn't
big
play our
deal that we
game.
walked all the way from.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that thing really affected us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we came back to school. We walked. We got to school very late that day. Apparently, those students who were wanted to attack us went to campus to try and destroy some
Yes, I
things in our
remember.
school, and
That's true.
they didn't know there were other people in school. So I remember we were told Chairman Tim led the team to face them there.
Yes.
So it was something funny walking from Elwak to Accra Academy, and it was
Yeah.
quite interesting because whilst coming from Elwak, when we got to Kanda, the overpass, some people came from Nima or whatever to come and attack us there too.
That's
Just
the
kind of
ATTC boys too.
yeah,
It's
they
like
came there
everybody
to
against
attack
Accra
us.
Academy.
Yeah, so and
Yeah.
then so luckily we had some of our seniors who were also bold. They approached them, we fought them, and they ran away. And we had to continue walking through the circle
Yeah.
station all the way to Accra Academy. And when we got to, it was when we got to Kanichi that we heard that actually we saw police cars passing. At the time, Mrs. Ajimano, Ajingo woman, was the head assistant
Yeah.
headmistress. And we were told that she had called the police because some students had come from the other school to come and attack us. That was when we saw the police people passing by us at Kanishi. So by the time we got to campus, those of us who were walking, the police were dispelled the other people. It was a
Yeah.
memorable moment. This incident was
That's
interesting.
just very hilarious. Yeah, I remember we were doing so well. We were leading or so, and everything had to be cancelled at the point. We hop into the bus disappointedly and just went to the school. So we got to the school and we realized that we were told the boys, Nima boys, ATTC boys, everybody just want to attack a crack Academy for the fun of it because of
I didn't know.
the
I didn't know what it was.
yeah. Sometimes I don't know if it's the stereotype or I don't know. But I mean, what's your proudest accomplishment or achievement and during your time in Accra Academy?
For me, maybe at that time, I would say becoming the hall prefect because we had to go through a lot to become a hall prefect. First of all, you go through the disciplinary committee
Yes.
vetting for you to pass, to
Yes.
qualify to even contest. And then after that stage, you have to go through the prefectorial vetting.
I think you
It
left
was
one
so
thing out. You
rigorous.
you have to qualify. I think you need to have an average of
Yes,
70
I
or
think
80%.
academically, yeah, academically, you have to
Yeah.
be good. And then you go to the disciplinary committee, look at all
And
of
you go
that.
to the
And
disciplinary
now go
committee. Yeah.
through prefectorial committee will vet you. It was like grilling, actually, the prefectorial
Yeah.
one. It was grilling. Then after that, you now have to campaign your manifesto and what you go to do. It was quite interesting. I
Yeah.
remember writing a manifesto,
That's
what I
quite
intended to do for
rigorous.
the
Yeah.
hall and all that. So process, yeah, that process, and you have to go around campaigning. You're the juniors, your mates, your seniors campaigning, just doing everything possible to make sure you win to become the hall prefect. It was
Yeah.
interesting, and after going through all that and emerging, and I remember our time, it was tough, and so
Yeah.
going through all that to become the hall prefect, I was really happy that I got to become the hall prefect that I wanted to be eventually. So for
Yeah.
me, at the time in secondary school, it was a great achievement for me. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. You just took me aback. I mean, you have to go through all these processes and before you become a prefect. And I think it prepares you as you move on with your both work life and graduate or university life. I was
Oh,
never ever shy from
trust
contesting
me, it
any
had a great
position.
impact
Yeah,
on me.
that's a good experience. And you see, you have to stand before the assembly. I remember my first time, my legs were shaking like that, and I have to
Yeah, I
address
remember that
people.
manifesto
Yeah,
reading.
yeah. Woe betide you or make a mistake or pronounce a word wrongly, and you hear the whistling.
Boys will laugh at you,
Start with the whistling.
the teasing and everything, and
Yeah,
it will be with
teasing.
you
Yeah,
forever. So I
yeah,
remember I had to check your grammar, everything, make sure you
exactly.
flow very well. because standing in front of people and
Exactly.
reading your manifesto and people asking you questions, that's
Yeah.
even after going through the prefectural vetting and all that. I think it was a good training. I would like to you.
Yeah.
The
And it's
leadership at the
great.
secondary school level was really good. It helped us.
It's great. It's great to see yourself and other people because, and as the anthem says, and in Accra Academy, our little minds were shaped to serve our nation great.
Yeah.
And I think this takes
Yep.
us through that processes to become who we are, fearless, and take it as
Mm-hmm.
as it comes. And yes, I went to University of Ghana myself, became General Sports Secretary, and I think in the masters too in South Korea. Seoul National University, I was the class president as well. And I did not even stand for it. People nominate you because they see that leadership qualities in you. And it goes on
Mm-hmm.
and on. So it's interesting for when you mentioned that it just took me back to reflect on those drooling moments. And can you recall a specific lesson or a piece of advice from BLEOO Land, Accra Academy, and that has stuck with you until today?
I think you already mentioned it, and that is what has stuck with me. One of the mottos of the school, non scholar sed vita,
Yeah,
not for school but for life, and not for self but for others. To be honest, ever since I came across this and we were speaking to with these mottos of the school explained to us, I
yeah,
realized no, it wasn't just about academics. So all my life, that's how come I was not too fixated on being top of class academics. Yes, academics is good. You have to do well to progress and do all that, but I knew that there was more to just being academically good. You have
yeah,
to make sure that after going through school, you are going to face life. So you are going to school, but it's not just for going to school for going to school's sake. You are going to face life. So not for school, but for life. Non-scholar said
yes,
vita was is what has stuck with me till today. So whatever I do, I know that there's a bigger picture out there. So look at the
yeah.
bigger picture.
And then last but not the least, looking back, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently, or any opportunity you regret not taking whilst in Accra Academy?
I think one thing I've regretted not really doing as a young person,
Hmm.
maybe in secondary school, was the fact that I didn't take the opportunity to learn a second language.
Okay.
I remember there was a German club academy.
Yeah,
I never joined a German club, and even those who were doing French, I felt like maybe I should have tried to do a language because I didn't do too bad in French in JSS. But
yeah,
for some reason, I just ignored French when I got to secondary school. I realized how important it is to have a second language. So if there's anything I regret about not doing was young, as a young person in school, was not learning a second language.
Well, I think you still have it. I never knew until I traveled to South Korea that I can speak English, I understand Guy, I can speak Chi, I can understand a little bit of Ewe. And then I realized my mind was already made for multilingual languages, you know. So then I studied a little bit of Korea and then came to Norway. It was pretty easy. It took me about 3 to 4 months to get to grasp Norway. And in Korea,
That's
you can
quite
imagine.
interesting.
Yeah, in Korea, you can imagine they don't use the Roman letters and even the numer. I think maybe the numerals, yes, but the letters, no. They use what we call the
Yeah,
Hangul. So you have to write in their way, and you have to pass before
learned
you
everything
move on
off.
to the next semester. And so
Wow.
that was a big deal. And but it went really well. And I realized that our minds, especially in Ghana, already shaped for that. So once you just
I think.
focus and then you just get it. I always tell people don't take pen and paper to learn the language. Just put your ears down and then grasp the nuances. Like in Ghana, hey, at the same, those sort of stuff. Once you grasp them, the rest follows. Yeah. Anyway, that's just by the way. And yes, Nonsibe said, Alice, not for others, not for self, but for others. And as we've gone through this. I think our viewers would also learn a thing or two. And as you can see, we were just students. We're just little boys in Accra Academy, and we devoted ourselves to what we are today. We accepted that we had little minds that needs to be shaped, and now here we are. I'm having this discussion and hoping that it inspires young people out there. Do you remember any Accra Academy song, any German song that you want us to sing?
I was in the cadet, so as for
Yeah.
the songs, I know
Oh,
so much of
plenty.
them.
I hope
But
that
maybe
I'll be
because we are
able
on
to
social
speak to sing.
media,
Hmm.
let's say let's as for this, I know you can sing it.
Which one?
So le waka lele o
Leleo,
le
lelelele,
waka
waka
lele o.
leleo,
When I see a
leleo.
cracker boy, something happens to my heart. Oh.
Lele,
That one.
lele, lele, waka leleo. Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah. And the one that I
Yeah.
like when I was playing is
And then
then Beatrice Loco was the headmistress. Then they sing what? Wache
yes,
Loco te ta.
Okeloko te padua, Okeloko
Wache
te
Loco te
padua,
when you look, yeah.
Eye
Eye
Gemeno,
Gemeno, Enu
Enu
Ake,
Ake,
Na Kraka.
Maya Kraka,
Oh damn. Akraka,
Maya
blow, blow,
Kraka, Akraka, blow,
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 blow.
blow. I like that one. It kills me so much. And
Those,
it
as for
energizes
the
me.
Jama, if
Oh
you're an
yeah.
academician, if you're an academician, you don't like Jama, then there's something
Then
messed
you
up
have a
there.
problem. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's something
Anyway,
messed
man,
up.
I really appreciate the time. I know it's pretty tough. Yeah, you have to stay on for this discussion. I just hope that a lot of our mates, whether you are a junior, whether you are a senior, whether you met me or you did not meet me, and you want us to have this discussion, I am open, and then we could have this discussion on this little podcast or channel that I have, and basically to inspire young people out there to see that friendship is forever. I've known
Mhm.
Abbas since Accra Academy days. Once in a while we chat. Recently he was in Europe, he was in Germany. We connected and had a little chat. And here we are having this discussion. And stay tuned for more of these BLEOO diaries or episodes. And wherever you are, have a blessed morning, evening, and we come back shortly.